Have you ever wondered who really built our world? When we look back at history, the stories we often hear are filled with kings, generals, and male merchants. But what if I told you that behind the scenes, and often right out in the open, women were the backbone of economies, the weavers of society's fabric, and the unsung heroes of trade and agriculture? Today, we're pulling back the curtain to reveal the incredible, and often overlooked, economic power of women throughout history. Get ready, because this is a side of the past you haven't seen before. Let's start in the fields. For centuries, agriculture was the engine of civilization, and women were its essential fuel. This wasn't just about helping out during harvest time. In many societies, from medieval Europe to pre-colonial Africa, women were responsible for specific, vital tasks. They weren't just assisting, they were assisting. Think about it. They were the primary keepers of kitchen gardens, which provided the essential vitamins and variety in a family's diet. They were experts in animal husbandry, raising poultry and small livestock that provided a consistent source of protein and income. In many parts of the world, women held the traditional knowledge of seed saving, plant medicine, and sustainable farming techniques, passed down from mother to daughter. This wasn't just labor, it was skilled management of critical resources. For example, in many Native American societies, women were the primary farmers, with land often passed down through matrilineal lines. Their cultivation of the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, was a sophisticated agricultural system that sustained entire communities. Their work wasn't just a contribution, it was the foundation of their society's survival and prosperity. Now, let's move from the fields to the workshop. One of the most significant industries dominated by women throughout history was textile production. Long before the Industrial Revolution, the creation of cloth was a complex, labor-intensive process, and women were its masters. From spinning wool into thread to weaving intricate patterns on the loom, their hands created the fabrics that clothed entire populations and fueled lucrative trade routes. Considered the medieval period in Europe, a woman with a spindle or a distaff was a common sight. This wasn't a hobby, it was a critical economic activity. The yarn they spun was a valuable commodity, often sold at local markets to provide their families with extra income. In some regions, like Flanders, the quality of wool and linen produced, much of it by women in their own homes, made the area an economic powerhouse. This cottage industry wasn't small-scale in its impact. It formed a decentralized network of production that was incredibly resilient and adaptable. These women weren't just producing for their own families. They were key players in a global supply chain, creating wealth and driving commerce from the quiet of their own homes. What happened when a woman's husband, the public face of the family business, passed away? Did the business simply crumble? Far from it. History is filled with remarkable stories of widows who not only took over but often expanded their late husband's enterprises. This was their moment to step from the shadows into the spotlight, and they did so with incredible skill and determination. In Renaissance Italy, for instance, it wasn't uncommon for a widow to inherit her husband's workshop, whether he was a blacksmith, a baker, or even a printer. Take the printing press, a cutting-edge technology of its time. Women like Charlotte Gillard in 16th century Paris became renowned printers and publishers after their husbands died. Gillard ran a highly successful printing house for nearly 40 years, publishing high-quality scholarly texts and becoming one of the most respected printers in the city. These women had to be shrewd business managers, navigating complex guild regulations, managing employees, and dealing with suppliers and clients. Their success demonstrates that they weren't just passive helpers in their husbands' lives. They were often silent partners, possessing the knowledge and acumen to lead when circumstances demanded it. They were survivors, innovators, and entrepreneurs in their own right. Now, let's go to the most vibrant center of economic life, the marketplace. This was a space where women's economic power was on full display. Forget the idea that women were confined to the home. In countless cultures, markets were their domain. They weren't just customers. They were vendors, traders, and dealers. Think of the bustling markets of West Africa, where women have long controlled entire sections of trade. The market queens of Ghana, for example, are powerful associations of women who manage the supply and sale of specific goods, from textiles to foodstuffs. Their influence is so profound that they can affect national prices and economic policy. Back in medieval Europe, women known as alewives brewed and sold beer, a dietary staple, often from their own homes. This provided a crucial source of independent income. They sold eggs from their chickens, cheese from their goats, and thread from their spindles. They were the masters of small-scale commerce, transforming household surplus into cash. This direct participation in the market gave them a degree of economic independence and public presence that we often underestimate. They negotiated prices, built relationships with customers, and managed their own earnings. They were the lifeblood of local economies, connecting producers with consumers and keeping communities running. So, why does all of this matter today? Because understanding the true economic history of women isn't just about correcting the record. It's about recognizing a legacy of resilience, innovation, and power that has been hidden in plain sight. The work women did in agriculture, textiles, and trade wasn't just helping out, it was fundamental. Their contributions sustained communities through famine, war, and massive economic shifts. They were the adaptable workforce that could pivot from farming to weaving, the steady managers who kept businesses alive, and the savvy traders who fueled local commerce. By ignoring their roles, we get a distorted picture of the past and, more importantly, we miss out on a powerful source of inspiration. These historical women were entrepreneurs, managers, and specialists. They faced enormous social and legal barriers, yet they found ways to create value, build wealth, and exert influence. Their stories prove that economic empowerment isn't a modern concept. It's a long and often unwritten history of female ingenuity. Recognizing this hidden history redefines our understanding of economic progress. It shows that economies have always been more diverse and collaborative than the official narratives suggest. The resilience of pre-industrial societies was often built on this gendered division of labor, where women's economic activities complemented men's, creating a more stable and diversified household economy. When we only celebrate the male merchants and landowners, we miss half the story. The truth is, without the threads spun by women, the food grown in their gardens, the goods sold at their market stalls, and the businesses they courageously took over, many of the historical achievements we study today would simply not have been possible. They weren't just cogs in the machine, they were the engineers and mechanics keeping it all running. So next time you think about how our modern world was built, remember the forgotten army of female entrepreneurs and workers who laid its very foundation. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. It's a powerful reminder that history is full of unsung heroes, and by seeking out their stories, we gain a much richer understanding of our world. If you found this perspective as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into hidden histories. I'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you know of any other examples of powerful economic women from history? Let's continue the conversation down there. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.